All right, so it's 11:19 p.m. At night on a Monday, and I had to turn on this video just to record some thoughts because today was an interesting day. I had many client meetings, but there was one particular client meeting that really stuck out for me that I couldn't shake the thought of as I sort of sat down and winding down for the night. It was this particular client of mine who basically seemed to not be happy with how their YouTube video was performing. Now, I can't profess as someone who does this for a living that every single video there's going to be a banger, but in this particular instance, his video actually only got a few hundred views, probably 400 or 500 views was not what he expected the performance to be as well. And that got me thinking. I was like, so how do we actually define the success and the impact of YouTube? Is it by the view counts? Is it by the impressions? Is it by the click-through rates? Like, what is it, right? And if you're a business owner who's trying to figure out exactly how YouTube plays a part in this, I want you to know that this is the video for you, which is titled, Why You Should Start a YouTube Channel Even If No One Watches It. In this video, I'm actually going to go through 7 things that I've actually just written down as I just had streams of consciousness, just to explain to you exactly what the value of a YouTube channel drives you in terms of your business so that you can obviously benefit from it as well. And it's not purely about view count. It's not about that. Of course, it generates leads and revenue for you. But most importantly, there are some other aspects that I'm going to list out today. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Can Huang. I run a YouTube agency called Social Wave, and we basically have helped over 100 different businesses generate millions of dollars in revenue across YouTube as well. We've been doing this for the last 5 or 6 years, living and breathing that. And for the most part, been helping coaches, consultants, service-based business owners, and other knowledge-based businesses to help generate those results for them as well. So let's get into it, and I'm going to break it down. So the first one I've written down is called Scale Your Knowledge and Expertise. And what I basically mean by that is, even if no one watches your video or the algorithm isn't pushing that out to the right people, it's an asset. It's a video that you can continue to use and actually put that in front of the right people manually. So that could be things like, for example, if you had a client call or a sales call and you found yourself constantly explaining the same things over and over again, the same concepts over and over again, you can actually use and create a video that may not necessarily get pushed out on YouTube, but you can actually send and reshare that video to that client or that prospect over time, right? So that's number one. Number two is it basically scales your ability to network. So back in the day, you used to have to do this manually. You have to go to like your local chamber of commerce. You had to go to these networking events. You had to go to conferences, basically to drum up business. And you had to go to these trade shows. You don't have to do that anymore, right? Because in the way that people buy, people fundamentally buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so what's the best way to do that? Like, imagine going to a conference and you probably get maximum 300-400 people at a conference, and that's all you're left with there. The ability for you to reach an audience much bigger than that is quite significant as well. And sometimes I think we get into this notion of like, unless the video is doing thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands, it's a failure. In this particular client's case, got a few hundred views. I said to him, imagine if you got the opportunity to actually go in front of a room and present exactly your expertise for an hour, which is how long that video went for, to 400 or 500 people, which is how many views that video got. The question is, would you be happy with that? Is this an opportunity you would take? And if your answer is yes, well then it's worth it, right? And so we would love always more, but I think this notion of the idea of like being able to present to even a few hundred, albeit the right types of audience, then it's fantastic, right? It's a great opportunity to do that. And YouTube has this great ability because of the algorithms, you have to find your exact audience as well. So despite the fact that the numbers aren't huge, we're going to have to accept the fact that sometimes the video view count is a reflection of the demand for the topic or the demand for the type of video that you're going to do. Just same thing as if you go to a conference and if you pick a much more niche topic that only a select smaller subset of your audience will be interested in, we're going to have to be okay with videos that get 14 views or 50 views or 100 views or maybe even like 5 or 10 views. The number is arbitrary, right? And so what my point is here is that fundamentally YouTube really helps, or content in general helps with know, like, and trust factor. Number 3 is small numbers still matter, which I've just talked about just then. So I've just combined that basically all together. Number 4 is it nurtures your leads, right? So these are what we call conversion-based content. So you might be doing not just YouTube, you could be doing Facebook ads, Instagram ads. The videos that you create still play a part in the decision-making process. Just like what I said earlier, they might discover you through other means, whether it's short-form content like TikTok or SEO, going to your website. And as long as your videos are strategically placed in places where people need to see this content in order for them to warm up to you and then buy from you, then again, there's no wastage of that particular video as well, right? That's number 4. Number 5 is a weird one, attracting talent. And what we find more and more these days is that the war for talent is real, and businesses are finding that it's harder and harder right now to actually find great quality team members as well. And of course, if you look at guys like Frank Reef, Alex Hormozy, Gary Vee, and the list goes on and on and on, these guys have talked over and over again about how amazing the content has actually benefited them from attracting talent. They've been able to have access to people who are at the top of their game, the A players who really want to work for a business or for a brand or a personal brand that stands for what they love and would really want to learn from as well. So I've heard that from my own clients, Davey Mack,
The videos that I was doing, I could send to clients, save me time in my meetings. Another thing was to help with branding. A lot of people saw me online, they knew about me. It actually helped my clients understand and be educated. That indirectly helped my service as well. So there was so many different benefits that I was getting that you couldn't measure on return on investment.
He talks about exactly that in his actual marketing rundown, where we did a masterclass talking about how he used marketing to actually not only grow revenue and leads for his business, but actually attract great quality content that actually wanted to work for him as well. The next one is YouTube actually helps you increase the surface area of your luck. Now, this one is a bit of a strange one as well, because I've got a couple of examples I want to explain to you, and you understand what I mean by when I say this, right? The first example is using the same client, Box Advisory Services. What we find is that the problem with most business owners when they approach YouTube or just content marketing in general is that they put this arbitrary window of like when they should expect this thing to work, right? And yes, some people get really fast results from their YouTube channels. Others take ages and sometimes can go for years before they get results as well. The timeline is different for everybody, and there's so many variables to consider. But what I noticed, for example, and one of the biggest learnings that I experienced when we were working with Box Advisory Services was we'd been doing YouTube videos for 8 to 10 months, right? And I would say definitely the amount of money that he was spending on creating YouTube content vastly outweighed the amount of money that he was actually generating in terms of revenue as well. This is what I mean by increasing the surface area of luck. This was about 5 years ago when no one was doing video marketing, let alone people doing video marketing in the accounting space. He was the only one, and he was in a perfect position to scale his knowledge and to share his expertise to a large scalable audience. And so what we ended up doing was we did these like long form YouTube videos that actually walk through exactly what was happening with the government policies, incentives, and support packages for small businesses and individuals who were affected or lost their jobs during the pandemic. And what we saw was a tripling of his business during that time. And this sort of thing that I learned from Sean Puri from My First Million, which is a great podcast to check out. And he basically says this concept of like wealth creation is oftentimes wealth is generated in a very short space of time. It's often a byproduct of luck, which is when you increase the surface area. And it's this idea of like when preparation meets reward, right? And what ended up happening was we had the systems, we had the people, we had the processes, we knew how this basically worked for us to capitalize on it. All we needed to do was wait for the demand to come, and then we could capture that demand immediately there. The second example I wanted to give, which is the other punchline here, is I have my own podcast called Level Asian. We were one of the first podcasts to talk about being Asian Australian, uniquely what it was. Now there's like dozens. What ended up falling off the backside of us doing this, right? Despite our numbers not being particularly high, we would get like a few hundred views on YouTube. You know, we'd get a few hundred views on our podcast itself in audio form. But the thing that ended up leading that way was, number one, we got to connect with one of our heroes, Vin Jiang. As a result, we got to build relationships with him. We got to build relationships with politicians, with other business owners, content creators. We got to put on massive events, and we became this sort of like group of Asian Australians that everyone wanted to like get to know. And that sort of like level of like, I guess, notoriety or fame led to other sort of benefits. Like, for example, you know, some of my biggest clients actually came from that podcast, right? Without me actually intentionally selling it as well. Some incredible friendships that then led to like more businesses, better personal connections, mentorship, and just like a generally more like fulfilling life as a result. I'm just like happier because of like the social circles and the people around me as well. And so not everything about creating content should be so transactional and like measured in terms of the results it can get you and what sort of ROI it should get and that sort of stuff. Because if we play into that sort of like give and take, then we're going to have problems, right? You're going to make decisions based on that, and you're actually going to cannibalize and sabotage your long-term benefits by doing so as well. And a lot of that magic is actually just staying the course and being consistent. It can really fundamentally change your life. It's changed the lives of my clients. It's also changed life for myself for the better as well. And the last one, number 7, is that essentially it develops the most highly priced skill you will ever need. So this is just a perfect segue from Vin, which is the skill of communication, right? The more practice that you have on camera, the more practice that you create in terms of videos, the better you get. Communication is literally the most important skill, in my opinion, when it comes to business, professional, personal life, everything bar none. And as Vin has told me,
you may be this good at what you do technically, but if you can only communicate this well, people don't perceive you as being this good. They perceive you as being this good. You're only as good as you can communicate.
So if your communication is poor, then you're perceived in that sort of lower level. If your communication levels are very high and your skills are very high, you are perceived that way as well. So really, just in the context of YouTube, developing the skill of communication is something that you fundamentally will benefit regardless of whether or not it's in your videos or not. And so to wrap that all up, I wanted to share this because this was something that just, I think if I didn't record this, this would just keep me up all before night. But what's really critical to understand is that, yes, it's important that the videos are heading in the right direction and getting the results for you. And you're seeing metrics and numbers that indicate to you early that your YouTube is basically working. But more importantly is not to get too sucked into the numbers. Make short-term bets and decisions that fundamentally are going to actually shoot yourself in the foot in the long run. Had it been myself in terms of my podcast, had it been my clients who sort of gave up after 3 or 4 videos just because they were waiting to make a decision based on some arbitrary window or number of videos, then this success would not have come to them. Sometimes success is all about just like, instead of sharpening the axe, it's just through brute force of just keep swinging until you get to the end of the tree and you chop it all down, and therefore you move on to the next one. And so basically what I wanted you to take away here is just to understand that it is a long-term infinite game, right? There is no finish line here, right? So never ever set a finish line, but understand that, hey, how else are you going to do this? Are you going to manually go and like network? Are you going to run ads and it's going to be really expensive? Or are you going to do short form content where you're going to do a lot more volume, right? What are your options? In my opinion, there's nothing easier than YouTube. I've done the short form gold rush where we tried to get as much content out as possible. Didn't work for us. SEO is on its way down, in my opinion. And everything else just in between is not that easy compared to YouTube as well. And so in case you're interested in understanding a little bit more, I do have another video just here that talks about the whole idea of 7-11-4 and building know, like, and trust factor and why YouTube is best primed for this. But hopefully you took some things away here as well. And I hope to see you on the next video. Good night.